A civilization that existed millions of years before humankind, that was already highly advanced and dominated the planet long before our time, and now lies hidden beneath the dust of eons. This is precisely what the Silurian hypothesis deals with, and we will clarify whether we are indeed the first civilization on Earth or possibly only the successors of a long-lost advanced civilization. Welcome everyone.
What a wild idea that we might not even be the first technological civilization on this planet.
Write your thoughts in the comments. Is there any truth to this idea, or is it completely absurd? I'm very interested in hearing your opinions and arguments. Could other intelligent species have ruled the Earth before us? NASA scientist Gavin Schmidt and astrophysicist Adam Frank investigated this very question in a scientific study. Not because they believed that lizard people or something like that existed, but for a completely different reason. The two actually wanted to find out how to detect extraterrestrial civilizations on other planets. To do this, they first had to understand what traces an industrial civilization leaves behind in a planet's geological archive.
And they noticed something fascinating. Earth is the only planet we can study. So they asked the question, if a technological civilization had existed on Earth 100 million years ago, would we still be able to find any evidence of it today? They called this idea the Silurian hypothesis, named after a fictional reptilian species from the TV series Doctor Who.
Write to me and let me know which of you are Doctor Who fans and know about the Silurians.
It's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
In their study, they do not claim that a prehistoric civilization actually exists. They write, however, we do not claim that intelligent reptiles actually existed in Silurian, nor do we claim that experimental nuclear physics could wake them from hibernation.
Apparently, they had to make that extra clear so that no one gets any stupid ideas. But the question still remains interesting.
Because if we were to search for our own traces in the distant future, what would remain of us? The answer is sobering. Not much. Our cities, after 10,000 years, they will have largely crumbled to dust. Even concrete is worn away by wind and weather. Human fossils, extremely rare. The chance of a single human being fossilized is about 1 in 100 million. The further back in time we go, the blinder our view of the past becomes. The oldest large-scale surface on Earth that has not disappeared due to erosion is the Negev Desert, and it is only 1.8 million years old. Our Earth is 4.5 billion years old. So if a civilization had existed 100 million years ago, the chance of finding an intact building would be practically zero. Not to mention periods even further back in time, but certain chemical traces can survive for much longer. When coal, oil, or gas is burned, carbon is released that has been trapped underground for millions of years. And this carbon contains a special signature, carbon-13. Scientists could therefore search for carbon-13 anomalies in ancient rock layers, and that would be an indication of massive combustion of fossil fuels. At the very least, this could be an indication of the existence of a civilization that engaged in industrial and energy production. However, there is a problem. Gigantic volcanic eruptions can also alter carbon levels, so other concrete evidence would be needed. For example, toxic chemicals that do not occur naturally, so-called persistent organic pollutants, or extremely high concentrations of heavy metals such as lead, mercury, or chromium, which are only produced by industrial processes. And indeed, there is an event in Earth's history that looks suspiciously like industrial pollution, the Paleocene-Eocene Thermal Maximum, or PETM for short. It took place about 56 million years ago. Within a very short time, global temperatures rose by 5 to 8 degrees Celsius. The oceans became acidic, calcium carbonate dissolved, and between 30 and 50% of all life on the seafloor disappeared. The carbon values in rocks fell by over 3 per mil, exactly as one would expect if someone had burned huge amounts of fossil fuels. So did the Silurians burn too much coal back then, plunging the planet and their own civilization into disaster? Probably not, because here's the catch. The PETM lasted between 1,000 and 6,000 years. We humans have released the same amount of carbon in just 200 years. Furthermore, scientists found no synthetic molecules in the PETM, but instead found large amounts of mercury, which points directly to volcanic activity. As Gavin Schmidt and Adam Frank write in the study, the longer duration of PETM carbon emissions compared to modern emissions shows that these are different processes.
So the PETM was a natural event, but it perfectly shows us what traces we need to look for. And now another complication comes into play, the preservation problem. Hey guys, quick request. YouTube is currently being flooded with hastily thrown together AI content, so-called AI slop. This isn't meant as general AI bashing, but it does make it harder for human creators to stay visible. This video here is not AI slop. It was researched, written, and produced by hand by several people who make their living from this. An editor, a video editor, a marketer, and myself. If content like this matters to you, your subscription helps us tremendously. Every subscription to the channel ensures that we can continue to put time and energy into real, carefully crafted videos. Thank you so much, everyone. And now, let's continue.
Land surfaces erode far too quickly to preserve deep history. About 15 billion tons of the Earth's surface are eroded every year. After a few tens of thousands of years, everything is gone, including cities, structures, and pollutants. But what if we look underwater? Perhaps we will find remnants of past civilizations there. Underwater, it is quiet, undisturbed, and sediments are deposited layer by layer. A perfect geological archive. But even from the oceanic crust, everything older than 170 to 200 million years has disappeared. The tectonic plates pull it down into the depths, where it melts and becomes new rock. This means that over 95% of the Earth's ocean history has been erased. If a civilization had left behind masses of evidence in ocean sediments 300 million years ago, it would no longer exist today, having been swallowed up by the planet itself.
And then there's the sustainability paradox. The longer a civilization survives, the more sustainable it theoretically has to become. But the more sustainable it is, the smaller its footprint on the planet.
So the civilizations most likely to survive in the long term are precisely those most likely to disappear completely from the geological archives. Ironically, a collapsing civilization could leave a larger footprint precisely because it has failed. Adam Frank and Gavin Schmidt write, "There is no such thing as a free lunch. You can't power a global civilization without exerting some influence on the planet. So if there really had been a civilization on Earth in the past, there would be some traces." And the really disturbing thing about the Silurian hypothesis is that it cannot be disproved. If a civilization existed millions of years ago, the evidence would be subtly scattered and incomplete, possibly buried so deep in the earth that we could never find it. There is no way to say definitively that it didn't happen, and that's what makes this idea so uncomfortable, because if Earth can erase entire civilizations from the record, what does that mean for us? Long after our cities have turned to dust, long after every trace of our species has disappeared, perhaps all that will remain is a thin, dark layer in the rock, evidence that something happened here for a brief moment and then disappeared.
Has this ever happened before? We can't rule it out. If any concrete evidence does turn up, I'll of course let you know. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel now, and don't forget to give a thumbs up so we can hit 5,000 likes.
And speaking of big changes on the planet, something seems to be awakening inside the Earth right now. The Pacific Ring of Fire, one of the most dangerous volcanic regions on Earth, is becoming more active. The number of eruptions and earthquakes is higher than ever since records began. What is going on, and should we be concerned? You can find out in the video shown above on the right. Be sure to check it out, it's very exciting. As always, you'll find another video about science and space at the bottom right. Otherwise, I'd say see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.